next are my favorite. Well, this one, math's my favorite, but my favorite to tell people what to do, because it's so easy, is history, story of the world. I think this is a great starting point, and almost everyone I know that homeschools, I feel like, has done Story of the World at one point or not. There are 4 books in it, so technically you could do 1 book per year. I think there are some years that we've done 2 books, maybe even 3 per year. The best part, probably why I love the history so much, is because I delegate it to Victor. And so I don't do this one. I did do it with the first 2 when they were younger, but then by the next kids, I think, oh, I already know the stories. It's not that interesting. It teaches so much, and at the same time teaches nothing, but it does give you really good insight through stories into little bits of history. To me, because my brain's so much more logical, I felt like, oh my gosh, but I didn't cover everything, and I don't know the exact time and the exact date. It really depends on your child's learning style, how much they love it, but most kids like it if you make it fun. So how we make it fun is Victor almost always reads it to them. There was a phase where I bought the audio ones, and we'd listen to it in the car, and it would just drive the kids crazy because the guy's voice was really, really annoying. So it would be hard for me to read it out loud every day. It really depends, again, on you. Victor loved reading it, so became something that every night he would just read Story of the World to them, or if he happened to be home in the middle of the day, he'd read it. And then they'd always reenact stuff of it. So if there was swords and involved, they'd make cardboard swords after. Victor's behind the camera, so what other things did you do?
Battles, reenactments, skits,
they would dress up sometimes. So it really creates a jumping off point for a lot of things. And sometimes they'd go through really fast in lessons, and then sometimes it would be a jumping off point to, like, oh, let's go learn more about this through research for a while, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I do think that would be a great one for you to start your school year with, because you have your workbooks, you're giving your math lesson. It's something that you guys are going to be, it's easy. You take the book with you to the park or the beach, or if you're out doing something, and it's easy to sit there and read to them. Reading in general, and a lot of times if you can take that and then find other stories to read to your kids, just in general, reading stories to your kids, it's a great way to run your homeschooling curriculum. Okay, a little bit of math, a little bit of reading and writing, Story of the World, or reading books to them. And then I'm only going to touch a little bit on science for the sake of the start of the school year. Science is one of those that I wouldn't necessarily start with it unless you really, really love science yourself. Science is great. There's a lot to learn, and as they get closer to middle school age, I think it's more important to learn. But when they're younger, it should just be based on fun experiments, how you're interacting with the world. We're in the Grand Teton National Park right now. If you can make it to a national park once a year and really dive into the national park, hopefully visitor centers are all open by then, but really explore and go on some of the nature trails and read the signs and watch the movies that's in the visitor center. And it teaches them a lot, a ton of science. And then you can build off of, like, oh wow, that was really fun. Now let's learn more about blank because you were so interested in it. Okay, so that'll cover your history and science. Again, you know where to reach me. And as far as electives go, I would do those really off of interest. Don't worry about adding electives for a child under 13 yet, or if they're not in high school yet, don't worry about that stuff yet. Just stick with what they're interested in. And remember, this how you're setting up, I'm going to cover this in the next lesson, more detail when you're setting up your schedule. But remember, you are trying to create success, probably a good connection with your child. You want them to respect you and listen to you. So those are the things that are more important than what exactly you're teaching or checking off the boxes of, oh my gosh, I didn't cover enough. They're behind in math this week. Okay, don't worry about that. You'll be fine. All right, hope that helps. Thanks.